All right, it's, well, that's not the right time. It's 4 minutes after 3 o'clock. And we'll call the meeting of the Durant Community Facilities Authority to order and ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Okay. Trustee Baxter.
Here.
Trustee Dillard is absent. Trustee Gosnell has submitted his resignation. Trustee Grover.
Here.
Trustee Miller.
Here.
Trustee Morris.
Here.
Trustee Pierce.
Here.
Trustee Tuttle. Here. Vice Chairman Webb.
Here. All right. May need some assistance, but the consent items you'll see, if you would refer to your agenda, helping to kind of streamline the meetings in one vote. It's a single motion, and we'll approve those items, and those items are the consideration of approval of regular meeting minutes of March 2nd, 2021, and consideration of the approval of the special called meeting minutes of March 30th, 2021. It'll be one vote for both. Any questions or comments or issues with the minutes as they're read before we vote? All right. Oh, there we go. Yeah, sometimes. Okay.
I move that we approve the consent agenda items for the meeting for the minutes.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second? There we go. Everyone had a vote opportunity there? Oh, there we go. All right. I think the next vote is to go back to paper, right? All right. In consideration of items removed from consent, that would have been if we'd have had anything we objected to that we removed from the minutes, correct? Okay, outstanding. We move to item 3, which is information items, financial reports. There's the lady with the plan right there.
You should have this on your hand. This is for the April 2021, the report. And the first few pages is I summary our DCFA gross revenue checking account and the Inco financial statement and the sales tax. So the first page, this is your gross revenue checking account. And I break down to the revenue and the debt service and miscellaneous expense and interest earned. And the bottom one is 1.9 million, 1,950,477.02. That is your balance in your gross revenue checking account.
Okay.
Is there any question? And the second page is this is your kind of like financial statement. It's also, I summary our Inco, the financial software, and then create this report. It's easy to read. There's one, the total revenue, this is including the interest earned from this account, and then the debt service, you got 2 debt service. One is for the semi-annual payment, one is a monthly payment to the First United. And then, so you will see that every 6 months, you will got a big payment went out. And the miscellaneous expense is all those audit fee, all those miscellaneous, and I break it down to here. And the transfer, you will see that this month we transferred 726,000. That is for the senior center. We expecting to complete it this year, so I transferred this amount to cover their expenses. Yeah, and so this is the total expense, and then the year to date for this fund.
Is that would that be the final amount on the senior center, or do we still?
Well, I think yes.
Okay.
The total is 750,000, and then
Got it.
yeah,
Okay.
that is the final
Okay.
amount. Mhm. And the third one is quarter-cent sales tax. This is the each month that real how much that quarter-cent we receive. So you will see the year-to-date, how much, we already got the May, so I put it, even this is April's financial statement, but I already know the May's revenue, so I put it on it. And this is 1/4 cent. So when I deposit to the your gross revenue account, I deposit 2, because you got 2/4 cents put it into the gross revenue account. And the rest of it is my backup paper for you to check it out. Any question?
Everybody was ready to spend money in May, weren't they? Thank goodness.
And Jen, am I reading that right, that it's up 32% from last June? Is that figure
Yeah,
there?
we are really, it's compared to the prior years, the same period of time.
So for
I
June,
think we are fortunate that even in the COVID, but our sales tax keep growing, yeah.
Yeah.
thank you.
Any other questions that we have? And that's just an information item, so no vote there, right? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, now we've got a report on the Senior Activity Center renovation project. Hello.
All right, I'm Mike Davis, the Senior Center Director. So we have some great progress coming on in the center now. They were just finishing framing up within this past week. They've started dropping off their sheetrock and everything there. Just this morning, we received their final projected timeline. Anything construction right now, I always take with a grain of salt, just the way the industry is right now. But by their projected timeline, someone's scheduled to be working on site every weekday until a final target date of July 20th, when we'll do a walkthrough. So at this time, we still need to confirm arrival of tables and chairs, but once we have that, we're projecting that we should be able to open full service in early August.
Awesome. Questions, comments? So did we get did we get ahead of the rising prices, or did that punch us in the chops a little bit on the construction part? Okay, so we did take a little hit. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. That's all right, though. Sounds like we're on task. Good.
I have one comment,
Yeah.
Mike. I've heard through my secret sources that you're keeping Gay Cunningham in the loop, at least letting her know what's going on, and I applaud you for that. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, with her 13 years putting into this, it's such a community project, and that's something that I'm really grateful for. And an additional piece that we also have coming together is we're doing an outdoor greenhouse raised garden bed project. It's going to be available for everyone to use. We have involvement from the Rotary Club, Kiwanis, Lions Club, Blue Zones, and the Master Gardeners Club. So
Awesome.
all coming together really well.
Great. Perfect. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it very much. Arena Convocation, Coach?
Well, as most of you know, with campus Southeastern opening back up and some of the restrictions being lifted, we are excited about getting people back on campus into a quote-unquote normal environment as best as we possibly can. During this past time, we have completed the basketball season. Women's basketball season is abbreviated and as challenged as it was this year, but we completed that. We're currently planning for a resurfacing of our floor to be at a cost of about $35,000 to $40,000 that the university will handle. We do that once every 10 years. We refinish it every year, resand it every year, but we will go to a major refinishing and redesign this summer. Camps start tomorrow, so you probably won't see Coach Grover or his staff or Coach Green and their staff. They will be participating in team camps. So we've got 40. How many do you have in your camp? 40, 35 high school teams will be participating, will be in town for a 3-day period, and then they'll come back for the men's camp. And then we have individual camps and youth camps that will be participating all the way through the end of June. So pretty much camps start tomorrow and run all the way through the month of June. We have a special summer commencement where we'll have commencement on July 30th and July 31st. With our increased enrollment and increased graduation rates. We're anticipating, I think, close to 400 graduates for the summer, which is unheard of for Southeastern at this point. But that'll be on July 30th and July 31st. We'll have 2 different ceremonies, an undergraduate ceremony and then a graduate ceremony. And then kind of a special feature for the community and the campus community on August 13th, we'll have the Harlem Globetrotters. This will be their 3rd time. In the last 5 years, I believe that we've been able to bring them to town, and we're excited about them coming and excited about the community coming out and being able to watch with as few restrictions as possible.
One more quick question, Coach Baxter. Do the $35,000 or $40,000 funds for the floor, does that come out of the proceeds of the quarter-cent tax or some other method?
No, that's university funds. That's 100% university funds.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Multi-sports complex, we have somebody here with a report. Oh. Looks like you get it.
I tag, I'm in.
All right, you're it.
Real quick, we'll just give you an update on multi-sports. We've had a lot of tournaments that we have had scheduled that did not make. A lot of them due to weather, some of them due to the fact that teams did not show an adequate amount of teams. So we're down a little bit there, but we're still trying to schedule again with the rain like it's been. It's not been really a good time to get that in. The other thing, just to kind of bring you up to speed, as you know from the great Arctic freeze that we had recently this year, we had quite a bit of damage to our restrooms. broken pipes, things of that nature. And we've been in the process getting all those repaired, and we're there, I think, with that finally. We've been working on the concession stands, getting those up to where the health department can approve those so that we can serve hot foods out of the concession stands and then be compliant with the health department. The other thing is, once we get that done, we want to go ahead and get all of our concession workers to get their food handling license through the health department. We think that's probably a good move. We are somewhat slowed on that because of we're having to, building materials, certain ones we're having to wait to get. So the windows, I think we're 3-4 weeks out, so that slowed us down a little bit. And then, so we'll get those in and hopefully have that up to speed. Just so you know too, and I did mention to you before that, you know, we had a lighting proposal that we just kind of wanted to see where we were. If we went in and did it to college standards, we're going to go back now and have that revised so that since the football field and some of those aren't used for college athletics, we don't see the need to do that. But we wanted to see what those numbers were, just kind of so we would have a starting point. Also, we, just so we'd have some sort of starting point. Many of you may have already seen the improvements we did at Carl Albert Park and putting down the turf. The gentleman that we got the turf and helped us install that, we had him just give us a rough idea what it would cost to do the infills on the softball and baseball fields. Part of the rainout issue is that the fact you get on a softball field, especially where it's a dirt infill, you get quarter to a half inch of rain, you may lose a tournament or lose a whole day for that tournament. Where if we were turf, that would give us an advantage maybe to continue to play that tournament out. Plus, we also think it would help staffing-wise so that you didn't have to re-rake it every time, re-chalk it. We just think it might be a good move. Depending on how far we go, if we go back to the dugouts or we just stay in the baselines and around the infield, we're probably looking at $40,000 to $55,000, somewhere in that range, per field to be laid. So just kind of wanted to give you all that and throw that out there. We wanted to see and just have an idea of what it would cost us to do that. Our softball fields are the busiest. There are a lot more teams playing softball than there are teams playing baseball. Two of our softball fields are smaller, and then two of them are larger where you could play adult softball on that. And we're rethinking that possibility, maybe of moving fences in and things of that nature so that we could host more teams. If we do turf, and turf softball and baseball, if we put the base pegs in at different depths, you could basically have 6 or so fields that you could have a game going all the time. So you could host a pretty big tournament. So anyway, that just kind of gives you, it's a lot. The other thing is we've been working on a master plan just to kind of get started so there'd be a starting point and for improvements that we need to do down the road. And I know you asked the question about cost having affected from COVID. We had priced and got quotes for putting sunshades over the bleachers there, and that has doubled due to COVID. And they're slower to come in, so we're kind of having to back up and regroup on that one, unfortunately. So,
James, what's the estimated lifespan of a turf field?
depending on the quality of turf you put down, and like the one we put down out there, I think it's a 10-year guarantee on that turf. It's either 10 or 15, Mike. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me, but it's quite lengthy.
Do we use the big fields the high school plays now at the high schools? How
Correct.
do we use the big baseball fields?
Middle school.
Okay,
plays on it.
okay,
And that's about it.
got it.
And then other than OK Kids, you know,
Sure.
some of the bigger kids,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. You mentioned Carl Albert Park. Going to give us how, what's the progress there?
You bet.
My grandson's been on it the last week, so I know it's good. But
The playground part that we did, we're completely finished with that. That came out, we think, really good. We have, I say completely finished, we have 4 more pieces of equipment that we would like to put some on the north end of the bigger playground area. If you'll notice, there's the big playground with the shade over it, but just to the north of it, there's plenty of turf there. And we've ordered some little pieces that we'll put out there just to kind of enhance that. And then we have one little piece that we'll put over on the south side, where the smaller kids' playground area is. And it's just I know you've probably seen them, like the little horses or the little trucks that are on a spring thing or whatever. Just another deal for the smaller ones to get on and off and enjoy that. In the middle, we did the multi-purpose court. We put up 4 youth-sized basketball goals directly across from each other, so you could even play two kind of almost full court for little kids, plus they're at 8 foot, so the little ones can have a place to go play. And then on each end, we've got soccer, and we put the multi-turf or multi-purpose flooring down on that. So that's worked out real well. Even if it rains or is hot, they can still play on that. So we did net that, if you noticed as well, so that balls don't go flying out into the playground area, or you've got to get them pretty high. You've got to get them up 10 feet to get them over those. So we're hoping that, but that project just came out, we think, well. We do have that parking lot just to the west. We have it striped and ADA compliant. The lighting around the playground area works really well. We've gone to LED on that. The next phase of the project that we need is going to be the drainage. We have got to go in there and improve the drainage along the road and across on the east side of that playground. The water right now goes right through that playground. We can't finish that parking lot over there on that east side until we get that drainage taken care of. This has not been a good year to do that, so we're going to stay on that, though. We'll get that next. And then once we have the drainage, then we'll start coming back in, and we're going to lay new parking surfaces out there. So we're down a little bit personnel-wise, so that hasn't helped us either. But right now, it's mainly the weather, as you know, anything outside. So,
awesome.
all right,
Thank you. Appreciate
bet.
it very much.
you bet.
Administration, I'm not exactly sure how we proceed here. Cynthia, what's the process with that?
As everybody knows, Jerry Tomlinson was not reelected, and so he was chairman of the board. Because he's no longer on the council, he would no longer be serving on the board. And today we have sworn in council member Humphrey Miller and welcome him. And we need to, from within this group, we need to appoint a new chairman and vice chairman. So someone would start the motion, and then we will all vote on it, on who would be the chairman.
I'll open the floor for that process. Is that the way it works?
Yep.
I would nominate Vice Chairman Webb to move to the position of chairman.
Second.
Careful what you wish for. Right.
Just one point of order. I think before we accept that, we should make sure that chairman or vice chairman wants to accept that. Yeah, that might be a good thing.
That suits me fine. Yeah, that'd be fine. Sure. Yeah, be honored. Did I go back to agenda? I'm on agenda. There it goes. All right. Vote for myself. Okay. Okay. Vice Chair. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we move forward.
Yep.
Same process for the nomination and election of the DCFA Board Vice Chair.
Yep.
And I'll open the floor for those nominations.
I nominate Chris Pierce for the position of vice chair.
I'll second.
Who was the second? Humphrey?
Humphrey.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
It appears everyone has abstained. Oh, no, there are votes. Yes, excellent.
Okay, so we can move
Okay,
on now to
so we
the
have
next
that. Okay,
item.
excellent. All right, so move now to the consideration of approval of filing of the Durant Community Facilities Authority fiscal year 2021, 2022 budget with the Durant City Council. Sir.
I'm back. Real quick, one thing I forgot to mention on the Carl Everett report is the swimming pool is open for business, so we've got that going, so just in case
I saw that we'd trained lifeguards, so that's good.
That
Yeah,
is
that's the
it.
first step, right?
we got them ready to go. So anyway, just thought I'd add that in real
Yes, sir.
quick. You have the budget that City Manager John Dean has worked up before you, the proposed budget. Page 1's basically revenue funds coming in. And again, this ties a lot back to what Ann Chen reported to us earlier. And so it shows your revenues in. And if you'll look down the page, you'll see where it splits the quarter cent between the Southeastern and the multi-sports. You'll see that revenue coming in there as well. All right, page 2, nothing much there, or 3. And you go to page 4, and you'll have your expenditures. Those are audit fees that you have, the note payments that go out on the various notes for the sports complex. And that's just a reporting of the composite of all it also includes insurance on that as well. So that just gives you a good rundown of what expenditures will be coming out of that. And again, Mr. Dean prepared that. He's on vacation, by the way, so Ann Chen and I are filling in for him, so if you have questions.
On the last line item on the transfers to other funds, can you let us know what the 320,000 plus is for?
The 320,912. Uh-huh. Those are for, I think, improvements that we're making out there. Some of that was repair from the damage from the flooding, or from the freeze, I'm sorry. And I'm not sure what else is all included in that.
So we don't have a list of what those items are?
I do not. I apologize. No, do you, Ann? This last item, do we have a list of that breakdown?
This is the Durant Multi-Sport Complex. In the past, that CD is the one that will subsidize it every year for past 13 years. And this is the one that I just, the multi-sport complex, they have revenue and expense. And this is the difference between the revenue and expense. I transferred to subsidize the
This is our
multi-sport
shortfall
complex.
then?
Yes,
Okay.
Well, I'm just noticing historically, going back to 2018, there's not a line item there. It's zero all the way across until you come to,
Yeah, this is the first time that we did that. In the
that's why
past-
I'm asking what is encompassed in that amount, so we
That
actually
is-
know what it's covering.
Yeah, that is the Durant Multi-Sport Complex. We got some revenue from that fund. And we also have those maintenance, all those, repair.
So
and
you're
then
telling me all that money that is reserved will go to the sports complex?
Yes, yes.
And then within our budget, that 3.6 requested budget, and then the current budget is 4.1, right? So it's a little less than previous year. Okay.
The way,
and
the
we
way
have-
I did, okay,
Go
that
ahead,
is,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That is because, in the prior year budget, they don't put your, fund balance, which means is, you know, the gross revenue, you got 1.8 million.
Mhm.
And I projected it, it's not really accurate, just
Sure.
estimated it.
Correct.
You got the first page, that, beginning fund balance, 1.5 million. In the past, that we did not really use it. And then I put, on the page 4, you can see the other expenses, the fund reserve and the reserve from, GR account. The total is 1.5 million. That is the amount that I put it in, kind of like reserve. So that is 1.5 million is the money that actually not assigned to any expenditure. Yeah. And the reason I did that is because in this one, the first one, the gross revenue at the bottom, you can see this is the loan payment, that big loan payment that you have for this, I think it's about 3 years. And the last one, the last payment is 346,000. That is the last payment. That is why I put this fund reserve in this, for more caution that, for the payment. But I put double
Okay.
in it.
That gives us
Yeah.
2 years of payments,
Okay.
Yes.
is what that is a reserve for.
Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Is the 320,000, is there any salaries included in that, or is that?
Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm just I'm a little slow, I guess, I'm a little lost on if it's not been done prior, because this is my first time through the budget process. It hasn't been done in prior years, but it's done
Well,
this year.
actually, we didn't do it, what, sorry, continue.
There's been a shortfall every year.
Okay,
That shortfall has totally been made up by the city, and it hasn't been taken out of this money. It hasn't been that there was a shortfall, because there has been a shortfall every year.
right,
Okay? And
but it just hasn't been taken out of these
it hadn't been
funds.
taken out of the
Okay.
funds,
So
yes.
that's why there's a zero and all that.
Right, and if
Okay.
you look on that sheet that Ann just passed out, you can see that annual shortfall.
The sheet I just passed out, this is the past 13 years that when
From
the.
inception.
Yeah, when the, Durant Multi-Sport Complex short of it, and then that's why we transfer money from the general fund, from the DCUA, to cover all those expenditure. Yeah. And you can see the pattern of the total transfer is 4.6 million over this 13 years.
And DCA,
Silly
DCUA
question.
being the utilities authority.
Okay, I was about to ask that.
Okay, that's the reason that we use acronyms sometimes, but.
Hey, I
the
work at a
utility-
university, we live for acronyms, man, so,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it's all
hear you.
right, I get it.
But we recently, if you know, with our utility rates, we lowered some of our utility rates, and we don't think it was fair for the utilities authority to pay for the shortfall at sports complex when the sports complex has money to pay for it.
Okay.
So,
So when this quarter cent sales tax sunsets, we're in a world of hurt.
Does it revert back to the DUCA then, or to the general fund?
we would have to address that coming up to that to see if we want to vote to extend that or fund it through another source. Okay?
Okay. All right.
That would be a vote then at that
How
time.
many employees are we funding through this? I know in the past, we were only funding one employee, used to be Chris Coder. Is there more than one now?
We have, four, I believe it is, that are there, and then we have a parks director and the multi-sports director is one individual, and
So
those.
when did it shift from just us funding one to four, just this year?
We've always done it. We've had 4 employees, at least 4 to 6 out there every year.
Correct, but did the city pay their salaries
They're
in the past
assigned,
year?
yes,
And DCFA approved Chris Coder when he was,
correct. That's
so
correct.
now we're going from 1 to 4?
Yes,
That we're
that's
supporting
correct.
authority?
Or is it 4 or 5 then? And how do you split the director?
I don't think we split the director. I'm
Does
not
he come
sure,
out of
but,
Parks? I think he
it's
comes out of Parks.
I have to check,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure.
So is this proposed, I guess, is to move it to those from 1 to
Well-
4 and from the DUCA to the DCFA? Is it-
The city manager has the authority to make the budget, and he made the budget. And we're trying to get the expenses where they belong. If it is an expense for the complex, it needs to come out of the complex as opposed to coming out of another department that subsidizes it. So that's how come we've come to this point today.
Okay.
Okay?
The thing I would like to understand on that better, James, is like, I guess quarter cent comes from, or supposed to go into this for the college as well, so, what, I don't wanna speculate here, but what if the college came to us and said, hey, we're having, all these employees that are coming from, you know, the stadium and everything, and we want, the DCFA to pay for those as well. I think it's kind of a slippery slope to start getting into, that we start paying for employees on one side and we're not on the other, and that doesn't seem very fair to me as well, so. Sure.
Actually, when they borrow this fund, and for the percentage wise, college spend more than the cities. I mean, the Durant multi-sport complex on the project. So when we receive that quarter cent, actually, city that quarter cent pay for the college, debt service. But because of the writing that, if that's not enough money, I think the city manager can explain more detail that we cover it. So actually, when I do the spreadsheet, I break it down, college owe us some money. Yeah, I can say that, yeah.
Chris, I can kind of address your question. The DCFA knows how much money it has, that's that 0.25%. It's our charge not to pay employees, whoever they are, more than that. You know, if the college wants to add 10 employees, we can't because we don't have the money. We have that 0.25%, and we know how much it is, but over the years, we've overshot it. And the city has graciously made up the money, so they just can't come along and say, give me more than you're making.
Sure, but I guess my question would be, why would it be the right of the city over the right of the college to make the decision on who gets to pay for the employees?
Yes, ma'am.
Would I be out of order to say something?
No, no.
I'm just trying to understand, that's all.
I think I can simplify this. When we divvied up the money, the college got $2 million more than the city did back at the very beginning. From the get-go, the multi-sport complex, as we all know, is a white elephant. So the city has had to pay, since the beginning, we've had to pay the guys that work out there. We never had just one employee. One employee could not mow all that grass, prepare the fields for all this stuff that goes on out there. So we have at one time had 6 employees out there. Coda was an employee, but he was supposed to be getting business, whatever that title was.
Promotion.
So now it has gotten to, we've had to subsidy, this, I'm just gonna say it like it is. This has been one of my biggest gripes for the last, since I've known about it. And is that the city has had to subsidize the multi-sport complex. It has never been able to support itself. We've had to pay the salaries for all these guys out there. And then I think, unless I'm mistaken, when I got the last report I got, if you get right down to the money part of it, Southeastern owes the city $150,000. Am I not wrong? So what you're saying, Chris, we had no choice. If we refused to pay those employees, then the DCFA would have had to made arrangements or something. But they've never had the money. Am I making any sense?
Yes.
So that's, and that's where the whole thing is. If we did not have those 5, I think it might have been 6 at one time, guys that,
There were 6 at one time.
and also not only just the guys working out there, we've bought lawnmowers and all kind of equipment to keep it cut. That's what, 100 and something acres out there. You can't just have one employee out there doing all that kind of work. So there has been a full, and which means we've paid their salaries plus their retirement plus their everything, match their social security and all that. So, and that's been from the get-go because the multi-sport complex has never broke even. The last report I saw, I think for the whole year, they made $140,000. So I hope that kind of enlightens you in my simple way of putting things.
So
I'm
those-
not an accountant, but I can tell you how the,
So those employees that are out there, are they dedicated just to the
Yes.
sport complex? They
Yes.
don't work anywhere else within the city?
exactly, yes,
Year-round, that's where they are?
yes.
Odin, one more question. And you may not know the answer to this, but I assume John's probably did diligence on this, but are we allowed to spend money on employees out of the DCFA quarter
Yes,
cent?
we are. We cannot, like out of the DIA, it specifies out of the DIA that it cannot be used, but it does not have that specification in the DCFA.
Has there been other funds from the DCFA throughout the years that has funded the sports complex, or the improvements, or the adjustments, or the
Yes,
renovations?
yes, we have, I believe we built fences and we've done all kind of upkeep out there.
Correct, but has that been through the city or the DCFA?
It's been through, a lot of it, through the city. I think we paid everything that's gone, that's happened out.
I've been on the board a little bit. There have been cases where we've reimbursed the city for expenditures, but I think that's
Backstops and some
probably been
fences, I think I remember us doing
3 or
some
4
stuff like that.
times
Yeah.
maybe in my
Signs,
opinion.
yeah.
Okay.
So probably if you guys needed it, we could come up with exactly what the city has spent and what the DCFA has spent. And of course, I don't know how many of y'all were on the board from the get-go, but as you know, we do not charge any admission
Right.
to get in, which has kind of been a little bit controversial because that's cost us some money, so.
Right.
Sorry I butted in, but
Thank you
Thank you so much.
for that input, Odin. I appreciate it.
Other questions? And this is an action item, correct? This is,
For the filing of the budget with the council, it's not approving the budget itself. It's just approving the filing of the budget. Is that correct?
The council.
That's
Okay.
correct. Council does the approval or denial.
How does that work with us if we voted no on that? I'm just wondering, you know, what happens at that point?
Still would go to the council. They would be the body of record.
So really, it's just a formality in a sense, because if it's approved or not approved by this body, it's gonna move forward to the council.
It's gonna go to the council
Okay.
either way, because by statute, the city manager has the authority to develop the budget for all the departments within the city.
I move we approve the filing of the budget with the Durant City Council.
Have a motion?
I'll second.
And a second. And I just went dark screen here, by the way. Never mind, I got it. Sorry. So, vote passes, okay. Nothing under the new business column. Is it appropriate, I emailed you about the process of our board a while back. I'll just say something and then you tell me to be quiet. I know that when we had a wonderful proposal before us for something our city needs a few weeks back, and that's an animal shelter, and I don't think anybody is opposed to that here, and I'm just using that as an example. But I think that brought up some questions within this group about what our responsibilities are with the money that we have, the money that we're going to receive over the next 2 years, not knowing whether or not that sales tax will be voted upon favorably again or not. And I think that what I sensed in that meeting was that this group would just really like to have an impact while we're still a group, and to kind of know what we can't do to make sure. I think there was some discussion about what are the things that our citizens of our city voted on when they voted on this sales tax, and we want to just make sure that we can in good conscience move forward with projects like the one that we saw, which I think everyone thinks is a good one. I'd just like to, I guess, find a way to be better informed about it.
I have a comment on that.
You bet.
If you look at the trust document,
Yep.
there are 5 criteria for items we can spend money on.
Right.
The animal shelter meets 3 of those 5.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of other things do too.
Sure, and I guess the thing that I'm looking at is I just remember some of the things that were in that presentation to the citizens back in the day. And obviously, I know that the pool at the university was a major liability, and it couldn't exist. So I'm not talking about that, but
That was
just
a major marketing issue.
exactly, yeah. And I guess I'm just, you know, not even necessarily that, you know, that proposal. I just want to make sure that we kind of have our, I guess, our bases covered, and then we can, in good conscience, move forward with projects like that.
It doesn't really matter what was marketed, that trust
Right.
document is the Bible for this,
Right.
for this board.
Sure.
So we can go by that freely and feel good about it.
And I'd like to be able to share, to use that with the people that have asked me about those things that haven't been done, but that it doesn't go over well, you know, because I get some questions that they'll ask, what the heck is that? And I'll say, oh, the DCFA is this. And, well, whatever happened? And usually it's the pool. I understand, you know, that, but I just, you know, I don't, you know, again, I just, that's kind of what I sensed in that, in that last meeting, and you know, I'd just be
You know,
open to.
in the quarter cent funds have never really met the obligation, and it's just now we're starting to get a little excess. That's why
Exactly,
The
yeah,
whole thing came up.
great problem to have, sure, yeah.
And chances are, if things go like they are now, before the end of this board, there'll be some excess
Yes,
that can be spent on something.
right,
And I think that's what, if I understand Mark right, that's what I think he's doing, is to figure out a way to prioritize that excess, if you will, to utilize it to the best of the possibility, or is it just a first come, first serve?
right.
Or just somebody else's discretion to say, well, we're gonna appropriate it for this, and
This board
You don't
and
have an
city
option.
could use a little goodwill, in my opinion, and animal shelter, I think, would generate a lot.
Sure.
I don't think anyone's, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I thought the animal shelter was a great project. It was just the way it was brought and the timing of the way it was brought. I have nothing against an animal shelter. That's the way it came out.
Send everyone a copy of the trust indenture?
Let's do that, yeah.
Okay.
Let's just start there and.
believe John put it on the website, but that'd be a great idea too.
Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
just get refamiliarized with that.
Particularly if you read those A, B, C, D, either letter, those 5 items
Yep.
for an okay to spending money, that's really the heart of what we're arguing about.
Sure.
But I think that the idea though is and then what Keith was asking about was, what's the process gonna be? Because I think a lot of things are they're gonna meet some of those criteria. So at what point, you know, is it the first people that come and ask for the money?
How do we prioritize that?
Mhm.
That's one of our tasks, is to decide how much
Yep.
and where.
Sure.
You know, I mean, it's not our job to end up with $10 million in the bank when the board dissolves.
But do we not, as authority, have the obligation to fulfill completing the sports complex? I'm thinking September 2024 is gonna be here before we know it. It won't be completed out there, and once that money is gone, you know good and well, they're not gonna want to sink more money into the sports complex. So, are we obligated to finish the project and then think about other projects? That's my question.
That's my concern as well, is that if we don't do our diligence to do things for the sports complex, when it comes up that money dissolves, that we will not have an opportunity to get that back. And so then even the $300,000 that just passed for salaries and those things, it won't matter. We won't have this money to spend out there, so it won't,
You know, we're not gonna exist after September 24th, so that's really a city manager and a city problem,
Fair
what
enough.
to do with it.
Lights and turf. Okay. Other comments? I think that's a good start. We'll, that's our homework until the next, till next time. Let's give that document a look. Next scheduled meeting, what is that date again? Is it on there? Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right. Any other comments?
motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Chris with the motion, Darren with a second? Yep. There we go. Is there a leave meeting somewhere, you said? Oh, back. Yeah. Leave meeting. There we go. I sound like my dad. All right. We stand adjourned. Thank you all.